everybody, welcome back to RC with Adam. My name is Adam. Today we're taking a look at the Odin-5 3D printer from Fokoos. They sent this to me to review and show you guys. And in this video, I'm going to cover the unboxing and setup and first print experience. Now, before we go any farther, let me throw up the printer specs just to get those out of the way. We're not going to go in depth talking about printer specs or anything like that. In this video, I want to give you my experience of unboxing and the process I went through to get this set up and get the first print done. I'll just tell you, from my experience so far with this printer, it does seem like a very nice printer. I really like a lot of the features, like the flat ribbon cable and the folding compact design, so that big win there. Here we go. The big thing about this is that it's supposed to be folding. Anyway, let's just start taking this apart. It should be super easy. So we just pop that open. I'm seeing some 3D printer goodness already. And oh, okay, so the whole, oh, that's nice. Oh, wow, that's pretty slick. Wow. Ta-da. All right, let's get you in closer so you can actually see this. So let's pull it out of the foam. I have not really looked at any instructions or anything like that. This will be interesting. What I want to do here is give you like a, you know, first impressions kind of thing, like see what it's actually like if you're just somebody who just buys it and you want to set it up and get started. You know, how hard is that? Now, I have Ender 3 and a CR10, so I'm not new to 3D printers, but I am new to this one. Let me just lift this, all this up and set it aside right there. We'll take a look at the other stuff in a minute because I know you want to see the printer, and so do I. I'll cut this tape. The rods are greased, so that's good. I'm going to be careful to not get that grease on like the print bed or anything else, because that would be a big pain. Okay, taking all the foam out. Got some nice snake skin on the wires. Okay, so let's see. All right, so it just folds up like that. So we definitely need to lock it in place. It would be super sweet if it just like clicked into place, or if you didn't have to use any tools. Yeah, so you can see those holes where we're gonna have to put screws. So now's probably a good time to take a look at the manual and stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's see what else comes in this. This thing is pretty heavy. All right, and we got some filament in here. So then we have our little accessories box here. Looks like a nice solid manual. Quick start guide, definitely gonna look at that. All right, and we get the hardware. We have some spare ribbon cable, that's really cool. We got our connector plug for US power. Nozzle needle, in case our nozzle gets clogged. That's really nice that they put it in this little container so you don't stab yourself, you know. We have a USB input, or a USB, I'm not sure why it uses this style of USB, but that's if we need to update the firmware, I guess, or connect it to the computer. We have some little plastic, they appear to be plugs. Oh, probably to go on the ends of the extrusion, the rails, extruded aluminum rails. And then we have some tools. We have various wrenches and Allen head screws, or hex screws. We have a micro SD card to USB adapter, so that's kind of cool. And some side cutters, the classic blue handled side cutters. I actually really love these side cutters. They're just so darn handy for all kinds of stuff. And since they're flush cut, they're great for cutting zip ties. And then we have, okay, we've got some nozzles. So we have some nozzles. These look pretty nice. And then we have a scraper for scraping the prints off. I wish this was a beveled scraper. It's basically just a piece of metal. And then we have our filament holder. This one's a kind of a dainty little one. They're usually larger, but I guess it'll do the job, I suppose. Okay, cool. So that's all the accessories. Let's take a look at the quick start guide, and then we will hopefully quickly get started. And then we have our quick start guide. Let's take a look at this. Ooh, there's a card in here. Fokoos warranty card. Let's get our hardware. The M4 by 8 screws are gonna be, I think, for the T-nuts, for the M4 T-nuts, and those are gonna hold on our filament holder. And then the hexagon socket head screw M5 by 8 is going to be what we want for the, to actually assemble the top of the printer to the bottom of the printer. And now we'll get the tools. And I'm just using these tools because this is what it comes with, as opposed to using my own, because you know, we want to see if it comes with stuff that'll make everything work. Rotate this up and then put screws in here, here, and then the same on the opposite side. So let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to find where the screw fits, and then I will screw it in. Okay, and I'm going to get this like just snug, or maybe not even snug, barely snug, and then I'm going to screw in the rest of the screws to make sure that we can get them all in evenly. Let's go to the other side. All right. And now I'm just going to snug them all up and kind of go back and forth to make sure that I'm not tightening one side like too much. But we do want them to be pretty tight because, you know, this thing is going to be moving a lot and we don't want it to come loose. I'm having a hard time reaching this screw, so you might need to kind of lift up the printer or put it over the edge of the table in order to really tighten down that. Anyway, so we have a zip tie right around this side, but that's probably supposed to stay in there to secure the ribbon cable right here. And man, these are some smooth ribbon cables, I'll tell you what. All right, so the next thing is, oh, wait a second. Hold up. So now what we're gonna do is actually just pull up this flat cable right here and then insert it into this connector. You gotta pull up the connector. I thought so. So you gotta just pop up a little plastic piece on the connector there and then insert the ribbon cable, line it up. Let's see, I feel like it should slide in a bit more. And then I'm gonna press down on the plastic connector, and that should lock it in place. We'll see if I did that right. Then we have this ribbon cable. So I'm going to snip this zip tie. There we go. And there's a zip tie in the foam holding the cable. I love this flat ribbon cable idea. Oh man, it just makes everything so much better. And then on this side, we're going to insert the ribbon cable, wiggle it in. Okay, there we go. Seems like a fairly solid connection. And then of course you want to have it so it's, you know, you're not twisting the cable. Whoa, dude. Whoa. Oh yeah, this is super loose. We're gonna have to obviously tighten that up because that's like super jiggly. We have set up our gantry. We have gotten our ribbon cables in there. So it looks like these are actually spare ribbon cables, which is super duper. So what we need to do now is actually get this thing basically in working order. So right now, the print head is all loose. The bed is, well, it's not loose, but it has these weird bumps in the movement. All right, let me see if you can actually hear this. Like I can definitely feel it and notice it, that there are certain points where the bed just wants to stop. So we need to adjust the tension on the wheels. Let me give you a closer look. So we have these two rails. We have a rail here and a rail here. And in the middle, we have the actual drive belt right there. So it's a toothed belt right there. And there's the drive pulley right there. We have on this side, we'll call it the left side, we have just plain wheels on bearings, and those rubber wheels ride inside the aluminum extrusion. And then on this side, we have wheels also, these two guys right there and right there. But these actually have those nuts right above the wheels. Those are eccentric nuts. And so when you rotate those, it will cause the wheels to come closer to or farther away from the rail there, which adjusts the tension for the print bed and how it rides on those rails. So adjusting those two will adjust the two on the other side just by default. Now up here at the print head, we have two wheels up top, and those ride inside this aluminum extrusion. And then on this side, you can see that wheel. And again, we have one of those nuts attached to the wheel, and that will allow us, by rotating the nut, that will allow us to basically increase or decrease the tension of all these wheels on here. Now, right now, this thing is super loose, so you can't have that. You want pretty darn tight tension. So those are the three things that I'll be adjusting: the print bed wheels, the belt pulley, and then the wheels up top. So to do that, I'm going to grab a wrench. I'm going to grab the medium-sized double-headed wrench. Let's tighten up this guy first. That'll be the easiest, most satisfying one to do. So let's see, I'm just going to put the wrench on that nut, and we're going to get it, we're going to move it, see how it moves. Going to tighten it a little bit more. You want it to be like not super hard to move, but I mean, you don't want any jiggle. Watch out for the threads, because they do have some grease on them. They probably should have some more grease, really. And let's see, let's get our hex Allen key. The tension screw is right here on the front. So yeah, we just, you know, righty-tighty tightens up the belt. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, same kind of thing we did with the print head, but down here. So we will, I'm going to loosen both rollers first. So I've found that this screw right here, the one that goes right through this pulley, if it's too tight, then you'll really have problems. Like, it has to be, well, pretty tight, but if it's pretty tight, yeah, it's all like really stiff. Doesn't want to move, but if you loosen it a bit, it loosens right up, nice and smooth. So keep that in mind. So I think I tightened this down because I thought, oh gee, it's loose. You don't want it loose, but it's got to be kind of loose so that that pulley can rotate. And then this right here, this screw right here is your tension screw. Right there. So righty-tighty, and it will adjust that tension. Oh yeah, much better. Much better. Yeah, so yeah, tension is good on the belt. It's just I had the pulley too tight. I've heard that you almost can't have them too tight. I mean, obviously you don't want to break them, but generally speaking, it seems like the tighter the belt, the better the print, because it keeps everything just more accurate and precise. I am still feeling those kind of little bumps, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of tighten these back up. I'm going to tighten up the rollers on this side back up, those two guys right there. Better. I think that did it. Much more solid. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, nice and smooth. Smoother. Still have these weird bumps going on. So I think what kind of happens is, like, if the wheels are too tight, you know, you'll get to like a certain points of the wheel where it gets bumpy, or maybe the wheel is slightly misshapen and it just creates this bumpy feeling. Now we might also need to adjust the tension on this belt under here, this belt that is what drives the extruder head. Right, so to adjust that tension, oh, that's so sweet. Okay, I love that. I love that. See, okay, so I'm kind of getting this wrong because I'm used to the Ender 3 or the CR10, the Creality, And on those, usually you have a screw here and you have to like pull the belt. I usually use like a screwdriver or something to like lever the belt and create tension on it, and then you tighten down the screw. But this one has a nice mechanism where you just tighten this screw and it pulls the whole belt. So that's super, super slick, super easy. Put that right there. And then we'll just tighten it just a little bit, and you should be able to see, well, maybe you can't even see it, but the belt is going to tighten ever so slightly. But it'll be interesting to see how long this ribbon cable holds up. We've tightened the tension on the bed drive pulley. We've tightened or loosened the, we've adjusted, let's say. We've adjusted the wheels down here, and we've adjusted the wheels up top, as well as the pulley for the hot end extruder assembly. Okay, cool. So now we pretty much just need to like fire this thing up and then do the bed leveling process. 3D printers honestly are pretty awkward to work around in terms of trying to show you guys what's going on. So we do have these like clips. So we've got the sticky stuff over the print bed. This film to keep it nice, which is cool. 3D printers come with clips to clip on the glass print bed. And I love glass, by the way. I love printing on glass. But we got to take these clips off so that we can get this covering off of the print bed. Okay. All right, just be careful getting those clips off of there, because that's they're a little tricky to work with. Definitely need the clips on there. Now, here's a really important thing. Don't go touching the print surface, because you will get your oils from your hand and stuff on the print surface, and then prints won't stick, the filament won't stick very well to the print surface. So try to avoid touching it, especially towards the center where you're going to be printing most often. So we have this nice, it is actually slightly, you can slightly see through it, which is pretty cool actually. Very cool. And it does, so it's smooth glass on one side, and then it is like a textured, it's like a coated glass on the other side, almost like a mesh coating. All right, so let's put this back on here. Let's go ahead and put the clips back on as well. Yeah, we'll put the clips on. Let's see if I can. It seems like it would scratch the glass, but we'll just kind of find out, I guess. All right. Oh, you know what? I don't want to put the clips on the edges because it's super close to the edges. Like it's uncomfortably close. Like we're talking like literally a millimeter between this clip and the edge of the gantry. Oh shoot, I am scratching the glass. That's lame. At least it's only on the edge, because you're never really going to print that far on the edge, most likely. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate the glass just so that if we do scratch it, it's just going to be kind of one or either edge of the glass. And then I'm going to clip it on the front and the back. So that way we will stay away from the gantry. So we should just be able to print right on the glass. I like to print straight on the glass. I'm just going to print as is right now, but if it doesn't work well, I'll probably wash it with just like dish soap and water, and then let it air dry. And that usually works really well to be able to get the prints to stick to regular glass. Now, just for funsies, I'm not sure why they didn't already do this at the factory, but I'm going to install the little extrusion covers, which go right on the ends of the very topmost extruded aluminum bar. I guess they go something like that. Ta-da! Now it looks all finished. There we go. Okay, let's plug this baby in. All right, let's fire it up. First time firing it up. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Printer on. Okay, so we got fan running up top. Pretty quiet. We got a touch screen. Ooh, that's a nice touch screen. Dang. Very responsive. Oh, I like that. printing. So if we go to tool and then we can go to bed leveling. Oh, okay. So we can say go to point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's go to point 1. Oh, dude, it's so quiet. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Because I'm used to the Creality CR10 and Ender 3, like stock without the silent steppers or anything like that. And this is insane. This is freaking fantastic. Oh wow, like the fan is the loudest part. Yowza, big thumbs up. Wow, 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 wow. So let's just try this out. We'll do this, just a quick leveling job here. Really you want to have it hot, you want to have the bed hot and the nozzle hot when you do this, but since it's not heating up, let's just try it out. Now we will do the piece of paper trick thing, but really that's not like, it's not a great way of leveling the bed. What I usually do is use that to get a ballpark, and then I just kind of level it as it's printing is what I usually do. But we'll try this out. So I'm going to adjust the screws down here. So I want to, you always want to tighten to bring the bed down, because you're basically screwing the bed down if you think of it like that.
Adam from the future here. Now at the time I think I didn't explain this very well, so let me just clarify. I'm going through the bed leveling process. Now to be clear, for this printer it does not auto level, but it will automatically move the print head to the desired location, like the corners and then the center of the build plate. And so what I'm going to do here is use the screws, the thumb screws on the bottom of the print bed to raise or lower the print bed from the nozzle. And I'm using the piece of paper as a way to gauge the distance the nozzle is from the print bed. So usually what you do is you insert the piece of paper between the nozzle and the print bed, and then you raise the print bed until there's just enough friction, just like a little bit of friction between the nozzle and the piece of paper. You do that same process at the four corners of the bed and then in the center of the bed. And that way you should get a ballpark idea that the bed is fairly level relative to the nozzle. Now, usually what I do is I'll go through this process, but then once I actually start printing, I will just look at how it's printing and adjust the knobs accordingly to get a nice consistent print with the nozzle the right height above the print bed.
Tiny bit more. Boom, there we go. This does actually come with a test print, so we should actually print the test print. So what I'm going to do, while I actually have this thing printing, I'm going to actually plug this into a surge protector. And that's just generally a good idea because we have some sensitive electronics on this 3D printer. And so if there was a surge in the electricity, that could damage the electronics, just like you would with like a computer or anything like that. So I'm going to plug this into the surge protector, and I'll plug the surge protector into the wall. So now we'll get our little USB thumbstick thing, and we'll take out the little micro SD card.
And I'm going to put that in the SD card slot.
We got to get our filament spool holder on here. Just take this. I think this can actually stick out either way. So what we need to do is get the other hardware. We need to get these are called T-nuts, and they grip into the extruded channel. Then we need the hex screws, the M4x8 screws. We need 2 of those. And what we'll do, put one in like this, and then the other one, the other T-nut, we want the little grippy part, kind of the flat portion, to go towards the nut, or towards the screw, to be threaded on. Like this, like so. But don't tighten it down all the way because we actually need it to stick out. And then what we'll do, get it so that the T-slots line up and fit down into, or the T-nuts line up in the slot and fit down in there. And then we'll get a smaller hex driver here. Let me turn it this way so you can actually see what I'm doing. It's just important to make sure that the T-nuts actually rotate and fit in the kind of lock into the channel. Nice. And then we'll just take this little guy and line up the little pegs, and then we'll twist it. All right, so here's our filament. Now, just to note, you want to keep your filament out of humid environments because it will absorb moisture from the air. So this is white PLA plus 1.75 millimeter. That's pretty much the standard diameter. So the parts that actually got taped, the parts of the filament that got taped, I'm just going to cut that off. And make sure you hold on to one end of the filament so it doesn't unravel the spool, and then just trim that. Trim the excess, and there you go. So yeah, hold on to the end of the filament. Important tip here, make sure that when you cut your filament to go on the spool or to go into the extruder, you cut it at an angle like that. So you have this nice, sharp, clean edge, and that will help get it into the extruder. So let's grab our filament here. And we're going to stick it right in here. There you go. Might have to kind of wiggle it a little bit. It's because it is a rather tight fit. And, oh yeah, okay, wait, let's see. Yep, just make sure you stick it as far down as you can. And it should come to a stop. All right, so we've done that, so that should be fine. All right, now we'll go to our menu. Let's see, probably gonna wanna do printing. And then let's see, here we have all the files from the card. That's pretty sweet. Test model, let's click on that. Print this model, say confirm. Ooh, okay, it looks like a block with some lettering on it, is what it looks like. So that's pretty cool. This is a pretty nice screen. I like the color. I like the touch ability for it. It's very cool. So it tells us the time. So it looks like the elapsed time right there. And then we have the Z height. We have a fire symbol. So it's heating up the bed to 60 degrees Celsius. And then it hasn't heated up the nozzle yet. Like, it hasn't begun that process. So the nozzle is showing right now it's 37 degrees Celsius. And then eventually, I guess after the bed heats up, it will probably start heating the nozzle to probably around 200 degrees Celsius, or actually probably like 220 or 210 or something. And then the fan shows the fan speed, which is set to 0 right now. And so that fan is probably referring to the cooling fan. There in the big yellow thing, we have the fan. That's the fan intake for the actual cooling of the print, which is directed down towards the nozzle. And then we have this fan right here, which is cooling the heat break. Okay, and then let's see what options does. So options, we have temperature, fan, filament, speed. Oh man, the layout of this, and again, I know that there are other 3D printers that have this and even fancier features, but this is new to me, and I really enjoy it a lot. Like temperature. Okay, let's go to fan. So fan, saying 100, 50, 0. So let's just say we wanted it to go to 50. Nice. So that was that fan. That's the cooling fan for the actual print. Let's make it 100. Well, there we go. That's where it gets kind of high pitched. Now you don't always need your cooling fan to be at 100%. Put it back to 0. And then we've got the filament, so we can load the filament or we can unload the filament. So when we're done printing, we'll be able to kind of automatically unload it, which will, I think it'll heat up the nozzle and then reverse the extruder motor. Extrusion, and then we can actually move the print head. Okay, that's cool. So now the bed is at 60 degrees. And then we're heating up to 211, 210. Okay, so we're at temperature now, so we should be starting any second now. I think I paused it when I tried to move it. Let's hit resume. Oh, okay. I must have paused it when I was going into the features or something. So what should happen is I don't know if it'll print well or not, but let's find out. Okay, so it's gonna. Oh yeah, that's not printing well at all. It's too high. I think it's too high. So the filament, be sure that you really push like pretty darn hard to get it into the extruder and get it going, especially once it's like hot enough to actually extrude. as it says right there, but I just didn't realize how much I'd have to press the filament into the extruder. All right, so that looks a lot better, a lot better. Those are some really, really thick lines that it's laying down. So you can kind of see that the layers are not super close together. They should really be like touching. So what I'm going to do, it's a lot harder on this print to adjust the nozzle height because since it's printing in the very center, it's hard to tell which side I need to raise up. So what I'm going to do is just kind of raise up all of the sides. I'm going to turn all the wheels just a little bit and raise it up just a little bit more. So I'm basically letting the spring tension take the build plate up. Be careful when if you do this while you're printing, because when the print bed is moving, you got to be careful that you don't pinch yourself. So honestly, I probably don't recommend this technique because this print bed is moving like really fast actually. So you probably want to pause the print. Let's just do that. Let's pause the print so that way it's not moving on us. And then we can adjust this. So we want to just adjust it just a little bit. And we're raising the print bed. And we're really, by raising the print bed, what we're doing is basically relieving the spring tension, which allows the print bed to come back up. So one thing is we've just paused it here and it goes back to the home position. Let's see how it does going back to printing. I really don't like it when it pauses and it moves its position because I'd rather just have it stay exactly where it is. But let's hit resume. So see, now we have kind of a big string of filament here, and looks like it missed a section. Missed a section due to the pausing. You see that line in the middle of the print there? Yeah. Okay, but we'll see how this next layer does. Oh, that's much better. And then the other thing is, since we're adjusting 4 points on the bed to try and get everything level, you will notice whether the bed is unlevel on larger prints because there will be more of a difference in height from one corner of the bed to the other corner of the bed. So that'll be more noticeable in larger prints and honestly easier to level the bed. The fan is loud. So that's annoying because it's like a high-pitched fan. I think we could swap out that fan or do a different fan shroud or something, and that would help with the noise. So you do have kind of a high-pitched fan sound. But in terms of the motors, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's amazing. My other 3D printers, like it sounds like it's playing a song, you know, like with like a little old school electronic music sound. That's what it sounds like the whole time it's printing. This, it's like so quiet. It's like a little hum. It's like a little fantastic. Okay, now it looks like we're getting started with some infill on this model. Let's take a look at the screen again. We have been printing for about 30 minutes. Temperatures are what they should be. We'll do a little time lapse. Yeah! Now it says done with the printing. I'm going to click confirm. I am done. Let's see if we can get this print off of here. I mean, it's on there really good. I'm going to try and pull this off. Oh, wow. All right, once it goes, baby. It just printed a cube with the F on there. So we'll take a look at this in better light. Wow, from what I can tell, it looks really, really good. I actually really like the feel of this filament too.
And here's a closer look at the cube. I think this turned out very nicely. It is a little hard to see the detail with the white color because it gets blown out so easily, so it's kind of hard to see the contrast of the individual layer lines. But from what I can tell, it turned out very nicely. We have a nice even top surface, and then even on the printed raft, that looks really good. The corners look nice and sharp. I'm guessing the layer height was about 0.1 millimeters because it is very fine. I mean, it's very nice. It's hard to see the layer lines, very smooth. So I think this printed very nicely. Now this big flat piece underneath the cube, that is the raft, and that's there to help create this extra level surface. Sometimes you can get better prints that way in case your print bed is not totally level. And the raft just peels off of the actual part that you want. So we'll do that now. And as you can see, just a little bit of filament was left over, and that could easily be cleaned up later. And even under the cube where it printed on top of the raft, I think that looks pretty good as well.
Oh, one more thing. Let's just say if I was done printing, I've got to get the filament out. But here's the thing. Don't try to just yank the filament out of the extruder, because this filament has been, melted inside of the hot end. And so if you try to yank it out, well, you kind of can't, because it's sort of melted in place. So there's two things you can do. You can either just snip it and then roll up the filament and deal with the little end later, or let's try the function where it unloads the filament. So let's go to the filament and let's go to unload. Heating up the nozzle, please wait. So it's going to heat up that nozzle and and the filament, and then it will make it so it can actually we can actually remove the filament, and it might actually automatically kind of like eject the filament for us. We shall see. 84 degrees, still heating. So then we have this little bit here on the print bed, so we can use our scraper to kind of scrape that up. There we go. It just comes off. So this glass bed seems to work very well. Unload filament completed. Oh, okay. So let's try and pull the filament out here. Oh wow, yeah, that's in there like really good. Okay, so the filament, hang on, that didn't work. Come on. What are you talking about? Unloading filament complete. Okay, so I mean it should be, it just makes that really hot. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not really wanting to come out like at all. I'm pulling really hard on there. Like I could probably lift up the machine. You don't want to do that. So yeah, that unloading tool doesn't really seem to work. But let's go to preheat, and we're going to change the temperature. Okay, so I got to tap that quite a few times. Okay, and then right. Okay, so it's heating up. Hopefully you saw that. It's heating up to 200 to 220. And then what we'll do, oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, you just got to give it a real good tug. But it's pretty, it looked like there was a kind of a clump of plastic that had remelted on there. So that's kind of weird, but you do have to be pretty firm. Pulling the filament out and pushing it in when you're ready to print. All right, so I'm just gonna wrap up the filament, and then we'll cut off that end next time so we have a fresh end when we start printing.
And that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope this was helpful to you. In the next video, we're going to be doing a lot more printing and kind of more of a review, in-depth sort of more review, and we'll be comparing it to the Ender 3 as well. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you on the next one.
I mean, we get bars in our goggles that show